What's happening, people? And once again, welcome back to youtube.com/CubCamTV for this, another edition of CubReacts. Today, we're going to be breaking into a newer series, looking at a new run of album reviews that we're going to be bringing you. Now, obviously, with an album review, there is a lot of music involved. And in the previous kind of history of doing this for the channel, album live listens have always been taken down very, very quickly. And the fun goes out of it very quickly for me if I'm having to constantly go back and edit like an hour version of a project with songs in there and stuff. It just becomes very, very long, very, very quickly. And at the end of the day, this channel is here to kind of be used as a reviewer platform rather than a reaction platform. Obviously, we do a lot of reactions on the channel, but I want to make it as sort of more review-based as we possibly can. So this is what we're going to be doing today. If you are new to the channel, though, please make sure you are hitting that subscribe button on the right-hand side of the page, turning notifications on, leaving a like, leaving a comment, all of that good stuff. And yeah, just getting involved in general. We are rapidly approaching 16,000 subs. If we can do that before Christmas, that would be absolutely amazing. We are currently on track to do that with the daily growth, so please do get involved. It's great to have all of you here with us. Now, today, we are going to be talking about a very exciting album project which did land last Friday. It's now Thursday, so I've had a few days to kind of sit down, listen through the project, make a lot of notes on it as well. So we're going to be giving you a bit of an overall review and a sort of track-by-track breakdown of what is going on with this project. Obviously, Masicka 438, as you can see in the title, is the album we're going to be reviewing today. Masicka, for me, has had a great year prior to this, and in general, he's been someone I've been playing quite regularly over on the breakfast show on the Pull-Up 30 section of the show, and it's just been great to kind of watch the progression of him as an artist and then actually see this album launch with such kind of instantaneous impact. Really, really cool to see. Now, I have got my notes written down in front of me, so if I am looking at a screen below, that's why. There's a lot of stuff written down, and I want to make sure I don't actually miss anything. So let's get right into this. So first off, the title of the project. According to an article that I read over on Dancehall Mag, 438 is actually an angelic number, which means achieving all you can in life. So bear that in mind when you go and actually listen through this project for yourself if you haven't already. Often when putting together dancehall albums, the issue I find is not creating enough kind of versatility and variation within the actual track listing and the songs themselves. It makes it a little bit more difficult to feel like a full project. Obviously, with the general sort of feeling of dancehall at the moment being a lot more pushed towards rapid-fire single drops, actually putting together a full album project can often end up with a few moments where you feel like tracks aren't supposed to be there, or there's just too much of the same thing going on. There are definitely moments on that sort of topic with this album. We'll get to those a little bit later on, but overall I feel there is quite a lot of differentiation both in the instrumentation, and I feel the collaborations on this project definitely give it a bit more kind of variation. They give it a bit more space, a bit more general direction, and expansive nature, shall we say. But yeah, overall, I definitely really do enjoy this project. There's 16 tracks in total, so they all kind of lead towards a similar final point. The general themes I got from the album overall were that of kind of emotion, and a bit more sort of deeper meanings going on. Again, the lyricism, a lot of the time they're talking about social issues throughout the project, and I definitely think it's a good kind of bridge between Masicka's style, which is obviously very kind of acoustic driven. We hear a lot of acoustic guitars throughout the entirety of this project, and overall I think it is quite solid. The general production of the album is very, very good. Again, being able to variate between a lot of different styles within that dancehall sound without going somewhere completely different is something that is genuinely very difficult to do, and it's actually a point at which a lot of artists' albums tend to fall down because they just don't have this they don't have an expansive nature. You listen to one track on there and you sort of feel like you've listened to the whole album. This, for me, has enough variation to stay away from that. Again, there are sort of low points, but we'll get into them once we look at the sort of breakdown track for track scenario. But yeah, as I said, the project is 16 tracks long. Again, it's quite a long project in today's market. And yeah, overall, I do definitely enjoy what Masicka has done with it. Those sort of overarching themes of kind of emotive layouts and more sort of discussion of social issues and storytelling, they're all vibes which are very, very strong throughout the project, especially on the track Story, which pops up right towards the end. An incredible piece of storytelling throughout that one. But let's get into the actual track-for-track breakdown of the project. This is where I've got a lot more notes. I'm going to be looking at my screen a little bit more, but I want to make sure we do this properly. With the intro, we basically get big keys and emotive harmonics right from the off with Ultimate. This is the track you can see on the screen. Again, this one is an absolute corker of a way to kickstart a project. It immediately sets the tone for the direction we're going to be taking, and the big claps and chord drives on this one really push the general arrangement forward. Masicka brings a very catchy vocal harmonization right from the off. It's a real earworm of a hook, and again, there's some really skippy vocal flows that take place throughout the tune on this one. It's a very, very solid way to kickstart the project, and already, for me, after listening through it a couple of times, this is already one of my favorite tracks on the project. Next up, that high intensity level continues as the first feature lands. The slightly more aggressive tone of Pain arrives, discussing again more social issues around hierarchy and sort of social standing, and again coupled with the outstanding vocals of this one of Popcorn, who takes it to a whole new level. The hook really, really slaps on this one, but also there are additional pieces of kind of harmonic structure which sit in the background of the tune, a lot of kind of floaty vocals doing a lot of work. That's what Popcorn brings to this tune in general. It's super catchy, and it sets the bar very, very high after listening to just 2 tracks from the project. The high quality theme does continue though as we get into Suicide Note. Definitely do go and check out the video for this one. It dropped on his channel a couple of days ago, but again, it discusses very delicate issues with a real touch of finesse. I've got to say, there's no point in this where it feels like where it feels a little bit rash, or it feels a little bit kind of overbearing. The whole approach to this one has been done very well. Again, skippy kind of flow patterns, very well written lyricism. Again, doing a little bit of storytelling from Masicka, touching on again deeper topics, obviously surrounding the concept of what a suicide note is and what leads people to it. The acoustic guitar in this one and the punchy drums are what kind of push it instrumentally, and it's definitely worth, as I said, checking out the music video for this one. It gives the whole thing a little bit more meaning, and it gives it a bit more of a push towards what the point he's trying to make with the tune actually is. So from here we then get into Toxic, and it does slow the pace slightly, with a bit more of an organic sounding drum rhythm and a more minimal style of arrangement on this one. This is solid, but again, it's the first sort of lower point of the album. It's the first time the quality level seems to have gone down 4 tracks in, and to be honest with you, after those 3 introduction tracks, you kind of have to expect the level to drop slightly. It's very rare that you have to start off with 3 tracks as solid as that and the quality doesn't go down ever so slightly. But yeah, overall, again, he's touching on again deeper topics, and it falls a little bit flat, to be honest with you. And following on from that, the lead single from the project, which is obviously Love Story. We've seen a lot of projects talking about this. We've seen a lot of platforms discussing this tune as a singular release. This is the lead track off the project. Realistically, it's the one that's had the most press prior. Basically, what Love Story does is, for me, it does a similar thing to what Toxic does, but 10,000 times better, both in the sort of lyrical style and the musical arrangement. I definitely feel Love Story is the stronger out of the two, and they're sat next to each other on the album, which for me is a little bit bizarre, because it kind of almost nullifies Toxic as a creation. It just feels like it doesn't need to be there for me. The next collab arrives next, which is very, very exciting indeed, as a UK artist gets involved. Stefflon Don jumps on Moment. It's another very solid return to form for the album. Very sing-along flavors are notable throughout this one. Again, a lot of punchy drum drives and a very catchy hook from Masicka on this one lay the foundations for Stefflon to arrive with a delicate, sultry vocal feature. This one works on a lot of levels, and I definitely think it's a collaboration that makes sense. One thing I want to say about this project is the collaborations in general definitely bring the overall quality level up, both in terms of differentiation, variation, and of course just overall quality of songs in general. Following this, we then get into Highlight, which sees Masicka explore a higher vocal pitch with a glittering, more arpeggio-based instrumental, definitely striving towards a much more sort of club-influenced arrangement. Overall, this one is solid. I've got to say, it's a solid tune. There isn't that much to say about it. The arrangement's great. The kind of enthusiasm we hear from Masicka over this one is great. The instrumental is slightly kind of null. It's slightly more sort of shaved off, shall we say. It isn't as kind of impactful as previous instrumentals in the project, but overall a solid piece of work. The real club anthem, however, arrives next in quality as Sean Paul makes a lively guest appearance. I love seeing Sean Paul still doing his thing, obviously a legendary figure at this point. This one is a bit of a banger, focused on sort of original Bashment themes, those tripleted drum punches and syncopated chords, giving the whole thing a sort of wind-inspiring rhythm. The back and forth between Masicka and Sean Paul works really well well on this one and definitely ups the overall pace of the project. Stature then jumps back into a more acoustic arrangement, this time focusing more heavily on aggressive vocal flows and catchy hooks, utilizing electronic vocal effects for a more earworm addition to the project. Next, we are starting to roll through them a little bit more now, because at this point I feel you need to have kind of made your point by this point in the album. There are definitely a couple of tracks through this period which kind of fall a little bit flat for me. The moody piano leads and sort of tiptoe flows of Masicka on King, however, give another look at hierarchy-based lyricism with another catchy hook coupled with deeper similes throughout the general arrangement. Definitely give King a listen. It's definitely one of the more sort of deeper tracks on the entire project, despite the more sort of club feel of the arrangement. Definitely one to take in as a standalone. The fourth collaboration on the project, however, then sees the super popular Dexter Daps arrive on Vanish for probably, unfortunately, the least impactful of the collaborations. This one for me feels like it definitely fits into the album in general, but it doesn't feel like it adds anything new to the album. The Dexter's vocal is great, I've got to say, but the arrangement is a little bit spacey for me. It almost feels like we're constantly waiting for the tune to actually kickstart in the way that it should do. Again, this is probably a conscious decision. The production team have probably gone, look, we want to make something a little bit different, a little bit more out there, but when you get Dexter Daps on a tune, you kind of want a more impactful tune. Not necessarily just for the dances, but something that you can definitely sit there and kind of move to, you know what I mean? This one feels like it's a bit more introspective. It feels like it's a little bit more based around the lyricism side of things, and the instrumental didn't really agree with me personally. Again, it's personal. This entire review is very much personal to my tastes. Hopefully you guys all do have your own taste on this. Please do get your comments in down below on what your favorite track on the album is as well. I'm always keen to hear from all of you in the comments down below. Another sing-along for the clubs next, as Contract Killer deploys a lo-fi set of melodic stabs and auto-tuned vocal hooks for a group dance ready arrangement. This is definitely a tune I can imagine people like putting moves together for, or sort of rehearsing. Definitely something I could see happening on something like a TikTok or a platform like that. We then get into the more highly intense vocal patterns and high-pitched vocal drives of Mirror, followed by the slightly slower, more ballad-inspired harmonics of Heart City. Again, dives into a more emotional feel, which definitely does dive back into that theme, which is running throughout the heart of this project. More emotional, sort of social-based lyrics, and getting to see the more acoustic side of Masicka's style. Really, really cool stuff. Then we get into one of the feature presentations of the project, which I definitely would recommend sitting down and listening to outside the album. It definitely feels a bit more impactful when you listen to it on its own rather than as part of the album. This one goes by the name Story, and it arrives to give a 10-minute sonic experience. Hearing Masicka take charge of a very impressive display of lyricism and storytelling, exploring different experiences and intense events that you really do need to sit down yourself and take in. It's quite difficult to kind of break down any individual element. It's like breaking down, for me, this tune it's almost like reading a book. You know, you can't just read a standalone page in a book and it be able to be explained. There are a lot of different topics that get discussed, and definitely something you need to sit down and take in as a 10-minute version. It's almost like an EP within a singular tune. Again, the instrumental sounds really organic, and the actual vocal line sounds like it could almost be done in one take. There's very minimal vocal effects, and the overall approach just has this very sort of almost cypher-like feel to it. Very, very cool stuff indeed. And then we do finish off with the sounds of They Don't Know, which does round off the project overall with a much more brighter sort of 2017, 2018 sounding instrumental, complete with very sort of major chords, a generally uplifting design, to put the final touches on what I would say is a solid body of work from the rapidly rising Masicka. Overall, for me, this project is solid. There are a few high moments, there are a few low moments. I think the collaborations on this one are key. They make sense. They definitely have their reasons for happening. And I think without the collaborations, this project would almost fall victim to that concept I was talking about earlier of being a bit samey. The collaborations give it the room to kind of expand and move into different directions. And obviously the additional vocal tones do add a bit of differentiation as well. But again, overall, I think this is a solid body of work. Definitely a project that I'm going to be kind of picking tracks off and playing on quite a regular basis. And it's great to see Masicka kind of sticking to his guns and following that very unique, almost acoustic-inspired style, which he is gaining a lot of popularity for. Definitely one of the names to kind of watch moving forward, and he's kind of already there. If you look at how popular this EP has already been, there's numerous tracks off there that are already hitting over 1 million on YouTube. The Spotify streams are looking great as well so far after just 1 week, so definitely do go and check out the project in full. That is 438 from Masicka. There we go. Guys, hopefully you have enjoyed this album review. I did write out a script beforehand and wrote down a load of notes just to make sure we didn't get lost in the general arrangement, and this is something that's a little bit different from us as a sort of project. Hopefully you guys don't mind me sitting here rambling on and talking about music. I could do it all day, to quote Captain America, and I really do enjoy doing these sort of longer breakdowns of album projects from a kind of production and general sort of CubCam-y kind of approach. So there we go. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this breakdown. If you did, please make sure you are getting involved with the channel by hitting that subscribe button on the right hand side of the page, turning notifications on, leaving a like, leaving a comment, all that good stuff. We aren't really going to do requests for albums because I want to maybe start doing these on a live stream format, but also I want it to be an album that I feel I can get to grips with if I'm going to sit down and review it and put together a script and do one of these videos. So we're going to keep these quite varied and a little bit more sporadic. They're not going to be sort of every week we do one of these album reviews, but there we go. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you did, please make sure you're getting your comments in down below. Let us know your favorite tracks of the album, what your thoughts on the album were overall, and where you think Masicka is going to go next after this. If you have enjoyed, as I said before, please do get involved, and we shall see you all next time, my friends. It's Thursday, so there's going to be a lot more reactions going up on the channel over the course of the next 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. I've seen a lot of tracks being released today that I do need to get some reviews done for, so we'll see you very shortly. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we'll catch you later. Peace.
Sounding so good right now. But they're sounding a bright and town.
Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel right now, CubCamTV. Stay locked.